Hi, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to be talking a little bit more about RGB colors, but we're actually going to be adding one more feature to this. So right now we've talked about RGB, which is our basic color set. We have a red, a green, and a blue, but there's actually one more that we're missing out on that can really improve the quality of our colors, and that's A, or alpha. So right now you can see we have an RGB color code, but what if we wanted to add this mysterious alpha component? What will we do? So I'm actually going to go ahead and use it as the background. Well, the first thing you need to do is change the RGB name to RGBA. And in this way, we've completely changed the way the color looks. Now, if we go ahead and refresh the page, nothing's changed. But now we can actually manipulate that alpha value. So all we have to do is after blue, keep getting those two mixed up, after the final value, you're going to add another comma. And here is where you can put any value between 0 and 1. So now that you know what you can do with it, alpha is pretty much the transparency or opacity of a color. 0 meaning it's completely transparent, you can't see it at all, and 1 meaning it's fully visible. Think of this in percentages. For example, 0 is 0% and 1 is 100%. 0.5 would be 50%. So if you think of it that way, you can really think about opacity in a much easier way. So I'm going to go ahead and actually set 0.4. So right now we're at 0 or 40% opacity. Now if we refresh the page, you can see that the color is still there, it's just a lot lighter. Now you're probably asking, why don't you just go and maybe make the color lighter? Well, it's actually much easier to control it this way, and on top of that, if you want things like maybe fading, or you want to maybe change a color, fade it into a different one, you can't really just change the color every time, because in animation, it's much easier to just change the opacity, reduce it or increase it, than change the color every time. So it's also much easier to use RGBA colors when you're trying to just control the overall look of a color. So usually when you're using just simply RGB colors, you can only get a certain look, but once you add opacity into the mix, you can completely change the way that it looks. So pretty much here's the takeaway that you're supposed to take from this video. You can have a fourth component to an RGB color, which is A. Now this becomes an RGBA color. Now this A value stands for alpha, or opacity, or transparency, whatever you want to call it. Then this value isn't like just from 0 to 255. Instead, you have to set a value between 0 and 1. If you think of it in terms of percentages, it becomes a lot easier. 0 being the no or 0 when there is no transparency, when it's fully transparent, and then 1 being when it's completely visible. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this RGBA color scheme. It's very easy to use. You don't really need to use a color picker for that. You can just think about how opaque you want it, and from there you can set your value. Alright, let's move on.